In the year 2023, the world is completely destroyed. There is darkness and fear everywhere. Both humans and mutants are now struggling to save their existence. Behind this destruction is an army of dangerous machines called Sentinels. They are not only killing mutants, but also those humans who once helped mutants. X-Men hiding in Moscow, Russia are hiding. But then suddenly, many huge ports fall from the sky, and Sentinels emerge from them. Extremely powerful and almost invincible machines. In a few moments, the whole place becomes a battlefield. Screams, terror, and destruction spread all around. Mutants run to save their lives, but Sentinels are constantly following them and killing them. It becomes clear that now their number is very small, and no hope of victory is almost over. After this, the story shifts towards China, where a jet lands in a secret place in the middle of the mountains. In this, X-Men's most powerful and well-known members come: Professor Charles Xavier, Storm, Wolverine, and Magneto. Here they meet Kitty Pryde, Bishop, and the remaining mutants. The shocking thing is that the mutants who had just been killed in Moscow, they now look alive again. The reason for this is Bishop, who had already received the warning of the attack due to Kitty's time link ability, with which he was able to save them in time. After this, Professor Xavier explains the whole situation. He says that Kitty Pryde's power, sending someone's consciousness back in time, is probably the only way to stop the Sentinels forever. If they can send someone very far in the past, not just a few days or years, but decades back, then they can only stop the creation of the Sentinels. Actually, the Sentinel program started with the hands of the scientist Dr. Bolivar Trask. He had started experimenting on mutants so that they could be used by understanding their powers. But the biggest turn came when a mutant, Raven Mystique, caught him and killed him. However, after that incident, the government caught him, and his powers were taken out of his DNA. This was the mystery that made such weapons in the future that could copy and adapt any mutant's power. And this technique gave birth to the Sentinels, which turned the world into devastation. Now, Professor Xavier tells a dangerous but hopeful plan. They will have to go back to 1973, the same time when everything started. But this journey is extremely dangerous. No human can bear such a long time jump. Then the question arises, is there anyone who can endure such a painful process? The answer is clear, Wolverine, because his healing power makes him ready for this impossible mission. But there is also a big danger with it. As time changes, the future can change completely. Some people may never be born, but the decision is made. Wolverine will be sent to the past. He asks, "What will I do when I wake up in my young body?" The answer is, he will have to go to Professor Xavier and find him. But there is a problem. In 1973, Professor Xavier did not have his mental powers. Wolverine will not be alone in this mission. He will also need Professor Xavier, and this is where such a mission begins, which can change the entire history. Professor Xavier goes on to say that when Wolverine goes to the past, a strange rule will work. The past and the present will be in existence together. That is, it will feel like it has never happened in the last 50 years. But he will have very limited time, and danger will be behind him at all times, because the Sentinels always find their target. After this, Wolverine is sent in a time travel process which is extremely painful. He screams in the midst of sharp pain and the shocks of energy, and then everything suddenly calms down. When his eyes open, he finds himself in a strange room lying on a bed of water. The whole atmosphere of the room is like the 1970s. Looking outside, he realizes that he has really reached New York in 1973, a world that is completely different from his future. He tries to handle himself in this new time when he is told that he will have to stay calm for a few days because he will not be safe here for a very long time. On the other hand, Washington, D.C. is presenting its Sentinel program in front of the main Dr. Bolivar Trask Congress. He claims that mutants can be a big threat to humanity in the future, and if they are not stopped from now on, they will change the entire human race. But all the politicians do not agree with him. Many people call it the fear of reasonlessness because at that time, the number of mutants is very low. In the end, Congress rejects his Sentinel program. However, Trask does not give up. He becomes even more determined that he will complete his project at any cost. Meanwhile, a military camp is shown in Saigon where Colonel Sanders and Major William Stryker meet on a secret mission. They go to a tent where many mutant soldiers have been imprisoned like Havoc, Toad, and other unknown mutants. All of them are preparing to hand over to Trask Industries. But suddenly a big truth comes to light. Colonel Sanders is actually Mystique, the Raven who has changed her appearance and entered there. She tries to save those soldiers and asks what is being done to them. She makes it clear that these soldiers will not go for any experiment. They will be free. Stryker tries to recognize her, but Mystique does not accept her real name. She asks, "Where is Erik Magneto?" But she gets the answer that now he is alone on his way. Mystique makes it clear that her struggle is not over yet. Here, Wolverine moves forward on his mission and reaches X Mansion to find Charles Xavier. But the view there shocks him. The mansion is completely ruined and deserted. As soon as he tries to go inside, he meets Hank McCoy. Wolverine asks about Professor Xavier, but Hank tells him to go. The argument between the two increases, and the situation gets out of hand. Wolverine gets inside, and Hank gets angry and tries to stop him. But then the fight starts. Hank changes into his real form, Beast! And a brutal and destructive fight starts between the two. For some time, the two keep on fighting each other, but in the end, Wolverine says that he is not the enemy, but they have to work together. And this is where the real mission begins. Wolverine now tells the truth to Professor Xavier. He says that he has been sent from the future by Professor Xavier about 50 years from now. Hearing this, Charles is completely shocked and does not believe it. But Wolverine tells him things that only Charles knew, like his childhood powers, his first fear at the age of 9, and the feeling of losing himself mentally. Hearing this, Charles understands that this is not a lie, but he does not immediately accept this. He is broken and wants to run away from any responsibility at this time. He just says that he wants to go as far as possible to sleep because he is tired of both pain and hope. Wolverine tells him clearly that the real threat is Raven Mystique. The government has seized his powers and made him a weapon. Now, using his DNA, such living weapons are being made that can copy the power of any mutant, and from here on, he will give birth to the Sentinels. Charles is shocked to hear this, but Wolverine also clarifies that Raven will never listen to him. He will need Magneto. Hearing this, Charles and Hank both understand that this mission cannot be completed alone, but a big problem comes up. Magneto is currently locked up in the world's safest jail, which is deep under the Pentagon. He has been found guilty of the murder of President Kennedy, and now that is his next goal, to get him out of jail. Charles also explains that the place where Magneto is kept is a very strong and secret structure, and it is almost impossible to get out of it. Then Wolverine mentions an old contact, someone who can help him in this mission. He tells that he knows a boy who has grown up near Washington, D.C., and is very special. Meanwhile, the story goes back to Mystique, who has now entered the Trask Industries. She is hiding herself in the form of Trask and is rummaging through the confidential files in her office. She sees the entire secret blueprint of the Sentinel program and also the post-mortem report of the American mutants on which she was used. As soon as she sees the documents, she finds the evidence of the death of her old colleagues, Azazel and Angel Salvador. Seeing all this, Mystique breaks down emotionally, but she manages herself and remains firm on her mission. Then suddenly the secretary of Trask comes to the room, but she immediately changes her real identity and takes the form of Trask so that no one doubts. She leaves with an important thing. After this, Wolverine, Charles, and Hank set out to meet a new character, Peter Maximoff, who is known as Quicksilver. Wolverine tells him that he needs his help, but Peter thinks it's a joke and rejects him. But as soon as Wolverine takes the name, Peter's interest suddenly increases. Now the mission is moving towards a new and dangerous turn. Peter Maximoff is completely confused and asks Wolverine that are they the police? When he finds out that they are not the police, then he gets even more surprised and asks in a funny way that who are they and what do they want? Wolverine replies directly that we need your help. Peter immediately asks, and what will I get in return? Wolverine calmly says that you will get a chance to enter the Pentagon. The alarm goes off and security agencies start checking everywhere. No one understands what is happening, but slowly the situation starts getting out of control. Then suddenly, a great moment comes. Peter uses his real power. He walks so fast that time almost stops. Everything is seen in slow motion. Bullets are hanging in the air, and guards' movements are almost like frozen, and he tries to take the team inside safely. During this time, he also jokes a little, which creates humor with tension in the scene. But the situation is getting more serious in the outside world. The story suddenly moves towards an old and deep clash. The conversation starts between Charles and Magneto. Both are sitting in front of each other, and Magneto says that he did not kill President John F. Kennedy, but he was trying to stop him. He also says that Kennedy was also a mutant, and the whole incident was more complicated than what the world thinks. But Charles does not fully trust his words. The old bitterness and pain between the two is clearly visible. This conversation between Magneto and Charles is also very interesting because it is a Magneto says that he did not kill President John F. Kennedy, but he was trying to stop him. And this is the story the Vietnamese general is celebrating with his Russian soldiers. There, the intoxication of liquor, laughter, and power is clearly visible. The general thinks that he is completely in control and calls the disguised Mystique to his private room. But as soon as they are alone, the Mystique shows her true form. In a swift and decisive move, she grabs him and drops him on the ground. She puts her foot on his neck and makes him unconscious. After he falls, she sees an important invitation notice on the table, an invitation to a big political summit in Paris. The Mystique understands that this will be her next step. Here, Charles and Magneto are traveling together on the plane, but there is still a distance between them. Both are playing chess to pass time, but every move reflects the fight of their thoughts. The conversation between Charles and Magneto gets even deeper. Magneto again repeats his old accusations that he did not kill JFK, but tried to save him. According to him, the real truth is very big and hidden, but Charles is still not ready to trust. The tension between the two is increasing, and the mission is now moving in an even more dangerous direction. Now the day has come that everyone was afraid of. The day of the international summit. This is the opportunity where the Mystique is going to take her next big step. If she is not stopped in time, history can change forever. Charles, Magneto, Hank, and Wolverine all together enter the building where this meeting is taking place. Everyone is alert because they know that the danger can be hidden anywhere. At the same time, Dr. Bolivar Trask also arrives there with William Stryker. He has very mysterious blueprints of his Sentinel program. Along with that, he has also brought a special device, a mutant detection system that can recognize any X-Gen person immediately. He says with confidence that if it is started here, then the whole system will not be able to be active until there is no mutant present there. During this time, the tension suddenly increases. An atmosphere of tension and fear is created everywhere. Then a big collision occurs. The conflict between the X-Men and the Mystique reaches its peak. Wolverine, Charles, and Magneto try to stop him because they are afraid that if he attacks, then the whole humanity will have to bear the consequences. Charles and Magneto both emphasize that they will have to bring Erik with them and stop him because as long as he is outside, they can never be safe. But in the meantime, the situation suddenly becomes uncontrollable. Screams, chaos, and impotence spread. After a sharp incident, time seems to be broken and everything else gets entangled. During this time, Wolverine suddenly gets a glimpse of the future. Kitty Pryde is seriously injured and everything is scattering in time. He sees that there is something that is going to bring great pain and destruction. Wolverine gets scared and tells everyone to get out of there immediately. Here, the situation in the White House becomes more serious. In front of President Richard Nixon, Dr. Trask and William Stryker try to prove that mutants are not just a threat, but a possible global disaster. Trask strengthens his point as soon as he sees the opportunity. He says that a mutant like Mystique can change its identity at any time and take the form of a president or any official and can even have a nuclear attack. This affects the government deeply. In the end, President Nixon agrees to fully fund the Sentinel program. After this, Trask's team obtains a sample of Mystique's blood. They think that with the help of this DNA, they will be able to make such Sentinels that can adapt to the power of any mutant. Now the danger has become much bigger than before. Here, an emotional turn comes in the X-Mansion. Charles starts losing his ability to walk again due to his old injuries. But this time something different happens. His telepathic powers start returning. Hank gives him the same serum with which he can walk again. But in return, his mental powers are suppressed. Charles this time refuses to take the serum. He understands that his real strength is his powers, and that is the most important thing in this war. He accepts that now he will have to live with his pain, but he will not accept losing his abilities at any cost. After this, Wolverine and Charles come into a deep conversation. Charles asks, when was the last time he was at this place? And the answer is, a lifetime ago. He realizes that Raven is injured and will not be able to go far now. Charles says that now the time has come, he will have to use his old powers, because after a long time, he is feeling active mentally again. But Wolverine still has many questions in his mind. He is confused about this mission and thinks that something is going very wrong. Meanwhile, an emotional and heavy truth comes to light. This mission started by sending the wrong person, and maybe everything has already changed. The story is now moving towards its biggest turn. Wolverine is now completely confused. He is not able to understand what is right and what is wrong in this mission. Meanwhile, Charles tells him that he knows a person who can go inside his mind and understand the truth. Someone who can find hidden answers between the future and the past. Charles assures him that even if people get lost, it does not mean that they are lost forever. He says that the greatest power of man is hope, and now he needs to find that hope again. Here Magneto takes his step further. He enters the Trask Industries and obtains all the blueprints of Sentinel. Then he uses his power to turn the railway tracks and merge them into the Sentinels that were being transported in the train. Now Magneto's intention is clear. He wants the Sentinels to be under his control so that he can use them in the fight for the future. On the other hand, Bobby suggests that he should remove the disease from the secret facility where it has been kept, because Kitty has become very weak, and now she is not in a position to keep Wolverine in time. If the disease is saved, she can take his place and keep the time link. Magneto agrees to this plan, and everyone sets out to save the disease, hoping that he is still alive. Meanwhile, Charles uses his power again and enters the Cerebro. He finds Mystique at an airport. He does not directly contact her with his mind, but contacts her through the people around him and tries to stop him. Charles tries to explain to him that his way is wrong, but Mystique believes that his way is right, because she believes that if she does not attack, the mutants will never be safe. She is adamant on her intention and moves towards Washington. Charles understands that there is little time left. He says, "If you force me, then I will have to stop you." Mystique replies, "Good luck, Charles." Here, Wolverine and the rest get stuck in a dangerous mission. They have to get out of a safe place, where there are soldiers everywhere. Bobby makes his way with his snowy powers, but things get worse quickly. Suddenly, an attack and a scream begins. The team somehow escapes from there, but the situation has become more serious. After a while, the day comes that everyone was afraid of. Sentinel unveiling ceremony. President Nixon prepares to present the Sentinel program as the biggest weapon of human protection to the world. Wolverine, Charles, and Hank arrive there so that this incident can be stopped somehow, and Mystique can be saved while there is time. But as soon as the president gives a speech, there is a big explosion. Magneto has completely lost control. He picks up the entire RFK Stadium with his power and stands it like a huge metal wall around the White House. There is chaos everywhere. People start running out of fear, and the whole situation becomes like a war. In the midst of this chaos, Charles finds Mystique, who is hiding as a Secret Service agent. He knows that if he attacks, the consequences will be very terrible. Mystique takes out her gun and aims at the Trask. But just at that moment, Wolverine mentally abandons Charles and tries to stop him. Now the decision is just a moment away, and the story is moving towards its biggest turn. As soon as the situation reaches its peak, everyone realizes that they have not been able to stop Mystique while there is time. They have found us. This alarm makes the atmosphere even more dangerous. Mystique has now reached the stage. The plan is about to be completed, but the tension is increasing. Wolverine and the other X-Men immediately take action and try to stop him. Here, the clash between Charles and Magneto also increases. Magneto is completely adamant on his intentions and says that now he will fix everything, no matter what has to be done for it. Suddenly, there is chaos everywhere. Bullets are fired, people scream, and the whole area becomes a battlefield. Magneto, in his anger, chokes many soldiers with metal and easily defeats them. His power is now completely out of control. He clearly says that humans have made these weapons out of their own fear, and today he will show them the real consequence of their mistake. Magneto gives a dangerous speech. He warns humans that mutants are no longer going to hide. He says that humans have always been afraid of different things, and now the time is changing. He announces that mutants will now be the heirs of this earth, and whoever comes in their way will have to bear the consequences. During this time, Charles repeatedly tries to stop him. He goes into Magneto's mind and tries to calm him down, but Magneto's anger and his thinking has become very deep. In the end, Charles somehow manages to stop him. Magneto slowly comes to his senses, and the situation starts to calm down. After this whole struggle, a big decision is taken. Magneto and Charles separate, but this time there is not complete hatred between them, but also understanding. Magneto leaves and Charles lets him go, with the hope that he may be able to change someday. Meanwhile, Wolverine's mission is also completed. The timeline has changed. Suddenly, Wolverine wakes up from 1977, but this time in a completely changed world. He finds himself in the Charles Institute, and the world he had left has now changed. Now there is an atmosphere of hope and peace there. He is surprised to see that his old companions, whom he had thought dead, are all alive. Iceman, Rogue, Kitty, Colossus, and Storm are all there and are teaching the students in a new future. Hank McCoy, Beast, now welcomes him more mature and calm than before. The biggest shock is when Wolverine sees that Jean Grey is alive and standing with the Cyclops. Seeing this, he is completely shocked because this was impossible for him. There is a feeling of a new beginning all around, a world where hope has returned again. And with this, the story ends, with a new future where everything has changed. Wolverine is now in a completely new and changed time. Everything is calm, but there is still a storm of questions in it. That's when Charles comes to him and asks in a light tone, "Logan, don't you want to take a class? Don't you want to go teach history?" Wolverine stops a little and smiles and replies, "What I know about history, it is a little different from this world." Charles also smiles and says, "Welcome back, we have a lot to talk about." Wolverine is surprised to see this changed future, but somewhere he feels calm because in the end, everything seems right. Then Charles asks him if he remembers anything that could explain what happened in time. Wolverine thinks for a while and replies, he remembers that he was almost drowned and the Strikers' soldiers had pulled him out of the water, but in the last moment he felt something strange. The Strikers' eyes suddenly turned bright yellow, and then the truth comes out. Actually, it was not the Striker, it was Mystique who saved Wolverine. Hearing this, everything becomes clearer that in this entire mission, many things have changed more than expected.